Obviously, OGN have the advantage of having Zerglings and Mutalists, which means that July can't really leave those Dragoons undefended. Yarnak coming in to try and pick off those Dragoons. July is going to be forced to bring his Mutalist in for support. Meanwhile, there's that battle going on just outside Best God's base between the Dragoons and the Mutalists, and the Corsairs there to provide Mutalist cover. July trying to bring some Scourges in, but there's got a critical mass of Corsairs there, and it looks like OGN are going to come out on top on that battle, and now finally STX are in trouble because they've lost all of those Dragoons. Best God focusing his production primarily on Dragoons, but now they've got a massive fleet of Corsairs and Mutalists to just a handful of Dragoons. I think that was a little bit careless and over-ambitious by Best God to leave his Dragoons hanging out there. July coming in with the Scourges, trying to take those Mutalists down. The Corsairs are going to provide a shield for the Scourges. Zerglings forcing the Dragoons back. July trying to keep the Mutalists back as well. And Best God, unfortunately, trying to get his expansion up. And July's Mutalists being chased away. There's a couple of photon cannons up and Dragoons, so July is able to run to the haven of that. Meanwhile, Best God's expansion being pounded away at those Zerglings. And July and Best God unable to get their forces out to take the July's expansion is up meanwhile, but how is he going to defend it? That's going to be crucial against those Mutalists because of the massive air superiority. He's going to have a really tough time defending, and I think July's going to lose his natural expo. Yarnak and Best God obviously, and now he's lost all of the drones at that natural expo. Unfortunately for July, all of his drones getting picked off. Yarnak doing significant damage. So July trying to get the economic advantage, not able to do so. And I feel that STX have made a mistake here. They had the advantage at one point in time by going for those expansions. They focused obviously resources there and didn't produce more units and allowed their opponents to get that upper hand now, and it definitely feels like OGN have a slightly upper hand in this game. Zelos now coming down for Zeus to pound away at that expansion, trying to draw July's Mutalists out, and July really fighting with just Mutalists and Scourges because those Dragoons were pinned back for so long. Finally he's got a decent force of Dragoons out again, and really you would probably argue that perhaps the OGN unit combination is more effective for dividing the opponents and affecting an attack. July finally manages to re-secure his natural expo. Yarnak meanwhile looks like he's taken his natural expo as well at the 6 o'clock position, and constant pressure being applied by the OGN team on STX at this point in time to really try and keep them down. The expansion isn't yet up for OGN. Meanwhile it looks like Best God has got his natural expo up as well. Templar Archives up. DT's popping out now for Zeus, and they're really going to throw some hammer. Meanwhile, we've also got a robotics facility. We've got DTs and High Templar popping out for. We've got Archon, so critical that Archon, obviously, as the anti-air. I'm not sure how good Archons are versus the severe fast maneuverability of Corsairs, but they'll definitely have a part to play. July has got some defense. He's got a Sunken in his base as well as a Spore Colony, but that Spore Colony is going to get picked off, and going for the kill here are STX. They're going to force July to come in and defend. He's got masses and masses of Scourges. He's going to try and pick off a few of the Corsairs. He's managed to kill a decent amount of Corsairs. He's got a lot of Mutalists, but really he needs that support coming in from his teammate. July is in huge trouble. His Mutalist force is going down. His base defenses are dead. He manages to kill a decent number of Corsairs. He's managed to hold that defense just long enough, he hopes, for the Dragoons to arrive. But he's going to lose his Spire here, and this is going to be, I think, the game-winning maneuver by OGN. The Spire goes on for July. He's not going to be able to produce any more Mutalists. DTs in as well. I think those DTs are actually Zeus's DTs. Meanwhile, Zerglings go raiding in Best God's base, but he's got photon cannons, but unfortunately in the process of getting those cannons, he wasn't able to help July defend. July's managed to get an Overlord out to spot those Dark Templars, but now he's losing his natural expo as well, coming under fire to those Mutalists, and I have to say OGN have now taken a firm lead in this matchup, especially having killed July's Spire. He's going to be restricted to producing Zerglings for a decent period of time. Meanwhile, we've got a DT, I believe, from, it looks like, Best God hammering away at that pylon just outside of Zeus's base, but July has now had that expansion killed. He loses an Overlord as well, and really it's now 2v1 at this point. It looks like OGN will be able to close this game out and take the lead 2-1 in this epic matchup. This is just completely insane, it has to be said. Anyone's game right now, but you've got to give a lot of credit to you've got to give a lot of credit to OGN for this game. I've got to say I wasn't a huge fan of the strategy that July and Best God went for, because they allowed themselves to be landlocked, but they did come back very well. But it looks like the practiced and experienced team of Yarnak and Zeus is going to come on top. That was one of the things mentioned mentioned quite astutely in the write-up by the SC2GG writers in in the preview of this match, the fact that July usually partners with Su, and this is a new pairing for him with Bestgod. He's not as practiced with Bestgod as he is with Su, and that would probably have given a slight edge in terms of decision-making, coordination, and teamwork tactics to... meanwhile, it looks like a DT just hammering away, a lone DT hammering away at Yarnak's space, at Yarnak's Natural Expo. If he can take that out, maybe that might give them a little bit more time. But really, at this point in time, it's looking unlikely. Drone's trying to kill off that DT. I think he has time. Muteless coming in to pick that DT off. He's not obviously going to be able to finish. And he manages to kill the Expo. The Natural Expo goes down for Yarnak. It's going to slow him down a little bit. Not enough though. July really has had such a crippling blow dealt to him. Meanwhile, it looks like OGN have got into defensive and macro mode, trying to macro up. Obviously, Bestgod has had his Natural Expo up for a significant amount of time, but he is fighting against two armies and against a mobile Mutalisk army, and a much more mobile army of his opponents. And he's actually decided to go for the counter now. He's decided to go and affect the attack. July's base is going to get taken out. I think Bestgod is going to commit himself to try and take Yarnak out. Looks like he's heading for... actually, it looks like he might be heading for Bestgod. Meanwhile, Hydra is coming in to support, obviously, to try and counter those Archons and obviously the Dragoons to come in and support. It looks like he's also got something in that shuttle. I wouldn't be surprised if those were High Templars, and this is going to be the finishing of it. Obviously, Bestgod realizing that the longer the game goes on, the more trouble he's going to be in. Storm going off, and indeed, those were High Templar in that shuttle. Storm going off on most of Bestgod's forces, and all of his Dragoons getting caught under that storm, taking massive damage, and the Mutalists already maneuvering behind themselves as well. DT coming in to finish those Dragoons, and the combined forces of OGN are going to probably take out Bestgod's ground force, and this is going to be GG right here. I have to say, great game of StarCraft. Great 2v2, very exciting, tense all the way, back and forth, until OGN managed to get that key attack. They just timed that attack perfectly and executed it to near perfection. July looks like he's got a Spire out, managed to get a single Mutalisk up and running. Unfortunately, he's too late to help his teammate, or whether that was just one of his Mutalists that he had conserved earlier. But now Bestgod has lost most of his ground forces, not really able to break down Zeus's front door at that Natural Expo. And really, that's going to be GG right there. I think he almost would have been better off going for Yarnak's base, because Yarnak had the least amount of static defenses, and at least he would have forced his opponent to bring out. But really, with air superiority and maneuverability, 2v1, he didn't stand a chance. And well played, OGN. And it's just a matter of finishing this game off. STX obviously refusing to concede. This is the Pro League playoffs. Everything's at stake here. And what I feel would have been a guaranteed 1v1 win for STX has been wasted by using July in the 2v2 matchup. But obviously it's horses for courses. Storm again, excellent Storm by Zeus on Bestgod's forces just at his Natural Expo, and Bestgod is now prevented from mining at his Natural Expo to further compound his already woeful state in this matchup. Archon just pushing that. And then Archon's going to get picked off by that massive Mutalist force that Yarnak's managed to build up. And really, the air superiority was what proved key. Great Storm by Zeus just to keep himself in the match, defending well. But now his opponents are just going to be able to macro up. July is pretty much finished. He's out of the game. So it is properly a 2v1. Shuttle getting picked off as well. Bestgod's shuttle getting picked off. Another massive storm to slaughter his economy. Counter storm by Bestgod, not very effective, not doing enough damage to the shuttle. So this has got to be GG right here, folks. And I'm actually going to call this GG right now. I don't think there's much point hanging in there for much longer. Impressive StarCraft. I'll see you guys in Game 4 of OGN versus STX Pro League playoffs. What a great game of StarCraft this has been. Thanks for listening. This is Klazart.